All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Ask Bill and Kate Thursday nights at 8. I'm Kate Haver. I'm here with my husband Bill Haver. We're the Haver Group of Southern Classic Realtors, and we have some very special guests. By the way, our mascot Escrow is missing. He flew away last week. We don't know what happened to him. We miss him. We're going to have a reward out, just like for our cat last year that never came back home.
He's probably circling around Kroger somewhere.
It's a black crow with an S on his chest.
We'll keep an eye out.
Seriously. But we do this every Thursday night, and we answer your real estate questions for you right here on our Haver Group Facebook page at 8. So, who are our guests? So, we put on our glasses. Yay. We're so happy to have Martin and Dana Adlam, and they are actually our neighbors here in Peachtree City, just real close. You know, they're a married couple. And
So are we.
and we're a married couple too, and they're from Design Decor Concierge. Did I say that right?
That's
You
correct.
did. Yes.
Got it. Okay. And the contact phone number for them is 678-662-9343. I'm going to put all this information here also afterwards. And you can also go to designdecorconcierge.com. Correct? So they can assist with special installations for your home or business. They also work with designers and industry partners here in the community. They service Fayette, Coweta County, Metro Atlanta, and specialize in Hunter Douglas brand shades, blinds and shutters, and the certified Hunter Douglas dealers and installers that draw a combined 40 years of experience. Did I get all that right?
Yeah,
You
it
got
sounds
it.
quite good, doesn't it?
All right, well, we have a lot of fun tonight, and we're going to also be seeing some of their work that we'll be viewing here on the big screen in just a bit. So that's going to be exciting. So, all right, well, I said that you guys are a married couple here in Peachtree City. Now, let me ask you, how did you all get into this business? That's what we want to know.
I came into it rather kicking and screaming originally.
Oh,
Dana, my wife
Real
here,
estate.
she's the talent, she's the creative one. She has, or had, and still has an interior design business. When you do interior design, you have things to go on walls: fine art, ornaments, floating shelves, flat pack furniture that needs building, constructing, and for her commercial and residential clients, she didn't have anyone to do it. So I was sort of reluctantly yeah, okay, I'll do it. And
On a weekend too, because that's
on
the
a
only time I can
weekend,
get them.
and late at night until 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning, and
Occasionally.
yes, and it's all true.
True.
So I fell into it rather kicking and screaming. Didn't want to do it, even wrote my son in early doors to come and help me with it in some clinics. Well, a clinic she did in McDonough. And my son and I were there till 2 or 3 a.m. on a school night, per se. He was at college at the time.
Because we're working around the hours that the staff is there in many cases.
And when they're not there, so that we
Right.
can do what we needed to do. So I fell into it that way, and I actually began to enjoy it.
oh, there you go.
Yeah. Admission, I began to enjoy it, and it's...
The telltale sign was when he started buying tool belts. That
Oh,
was it. I'm not joking. That was when I started going like, he's buying lots of things at Home Depot that like.
It's a man's
He's
shop.
getting
You go to
into
the
this.
man's store.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, you go to Home Depot, you buy a drill. And when you
Uh-huh.
bought one drill, you need a new drill bit and a new screwdriver bit and a new set of screwdrivers. And I got a socket set
But
for
he was
Christmas
taking
one year just to
ownership.
encourage me.
Yeah, he
so-
was taking ownership, and already around the house, we've been married now 10 years this year.
all right.
Yeah, so when I came into the fold of the household, I had all these pictures and things from my former life, and Martin would put a few things up, but he was very particular in how he was doing it, and I noticed that from the get-go. And so I was like,
Do
he's
I
like,
look
let me
like
do that,
kind
honey.
of person?
And he had all these gadgets and things, and and so that's when I knew if I take him on installs with me, pretty please. I did have outside vendors, but it's just so much better working with your honey.
What she's trying to say is it's so much easier to say, hey honey, you are going to do this, aren't you? Which you can't necessarally say to a third party
Does
supplier.
that sound familiar?
You know where I'm coming from
right.
there, don't you?
Exactly. With your staging, perhaps, right? Like, whatever.
So yeah, so
Oh, my.
it sort of became...
Yeah, she got me in a dog costume, remember?
I saw you in dog costume. Very fine costume it was too, sir. Absolutely.
So that's how.
So I fell into that, and then as time moved on, Dana said, you know, we should really do more than just work for Dana. And so we did.
And it was born out of the pandemic, to be honest.
Wow.
It was during the pandemic when everything was contactless
Uh-huh.
that I really couldn't rely on, because I had outside vendors I would work with already, and I
Right.
still have access to them. It's just that period of time I still had projects going on, mostly commercial, some residential, but the commercial ones, they weren't even delivering, they were doing contactless delivery, they were dropping things off in the front of the buildings, and I had to have a way to get inside, so no better than the family to do it. So that's
Especially
really
when
when it
the family
escalated
buys
for
a
us.
nice big new truck. And when you buy a truck, all of a sudden you're very popular for deliveries. My truck became the work truck, even though it was supposed to be my fishing truck or my yarn truck. It
That's when it
became the work
escalated, to
truck.
be honest. That's when Design Decor Concierge really escalated into kind of a separate thing, and it made sense to maybe make it as an offering to some clients or friends who weren't really ready for full service like what I do,
Right.
but needed some other things done that would be perfect for someone like Martin to do.
Hang a drape, hang a picture, sort of thing.
Which he got good at over the last few years, which again, it
That was
just
a natural.
became. He did, and he's very particular, so.
My face already hurts from laughing.
Yeah.
Well, what do you like most about what you do? Is there like one thing in particular that you like the best?
The best thing is I like to enjoy what I do, whatever it happens to be. Okay, and if you don't enjoy it, don't do it, is my take. And through working with Dana, I got into the blinds business and have a fantastic relationship with a guy that we do blinds installs most weeks, or pretty much every day of the week. And we just spend the whole time laughing. And now I've got another crew starting working with me as well, who you have on the photograph, wherever it was, it's
Right.
online.
Right.
That's Kurt and Tracy, and we spend pretty much the whole day abusing each other.
Oh.
Most customers seem to enjoy it. It's like a sort of comedy skit going on in their house while we're doing our
That's
work,
great.
and it's really good fun actually.
And for
And the
me-
people you meet, I mean, you meet, especially at the moment, we do a lot of work in Crestwind, and there are some people there that are sort of. One guy flew a particular aeroplane, and he's one of about 40 that ever flew this particular airplane.
Oh,
And you
wow.
get to people like that, and then you go to Trilith, and you're meeting people who build the entire film set or make the model of the film set, and it's just sort of, how do you do that? So it's good people to meet, and it's just good fun.
That's awesome.
So you were actually probably asking what do I most like doing, hanging pictures or blinds or shades. I just like doing it all, to be honest.
That's a good
great.
And it
answer.
feels good to solve problems for clients. You know, there's a lot of shortage on really good help. And it's some of the simplest things that through Design Decor Concierge, we can just be that go-to. So it felt really good for me to call my clients, end up calling me for other things.
Yeah.
That happens naturally, you know, you prefer. And I just feel good about knowing that, hey, I can call Martin and say, hey, can you do this? And sometimes
To my
it,
point about if you use a third party or an in-house installer, the third party gives you a lot more sort of pushback. So, not available for 3 weeks.
Well, I mean,
at the moment
we
with
get
us,
some
it's-
we get some of the same things through real estate. We have a lot of out-of-town clients who need things done. Anything that I can take on myself, I go ahead and do,
Right.
Yeah.
and I do enjoy that. And you know, if I can't do it, then I'm supervising and making sure it gets done right,
Very good.
Cool.
and it helps facilitate a good sale.
Absolutely, and it's about the relationships. Like, there's no better feeling. I mean, we become like family with some of my long-term clients, and so it's no better feeling than them coming to me to ask me about, I mean, things that don't have really sometimes much to do with what I do as a designer, but related. you
Got
know?
it.
So.
Cool.
Yeah, so the Design Decor Concierge was kind of the great solution. We just didn't know what it was going to become, but it seems to be something that people really enjoy having as an option. Oh, you guys can do that? Yeah.
I love it. Well, we have some questions that came in during the week, so let's go to it. So Andrew from Peachtree City says, what design services does your company offer?
Ooh, I'm not creative. I don't design per se. From doing what we do, I can give it suggestion as to where something should maybe be hung, what height,
Okay.
which I learned from Dana. If it's design options that people want, I can do that with blind shutters and shades. And again, listen to what the practical applications are of what they're looking to do with the blind or shade.
Okay.
Is it a blackout? Is it just to prevent a bit of sun coming in? Is it a little bit of privacy? Do they want to go up and down, left and right? And do they want to do it off a button or off their phone, or do they want to pull a string? And you can work out what's going to work in a given room. And some of the photographs we've got later, I'll show you what I mean by that.
Awesome.
Are
So
you seeing a bigger demand for automation now?
Yes, particularly, I mean, a lot of the younger generations, younger than us,
Right.
they want everything automated on the phone and the rest of it. Cool. Then there's a sort of a gap where people are a lot more traditional.
Right.
But the older generation, I'd say 65 and up, they want the remote control, the power view, because they haven't got to lean behind the sofa, over the table, around the bed to lower
Right.
the blind and raise the blind. They can just do it at the push of a button. And
That's
there's
so cool.
huge demand for that.
That is so
And it makes sense.
Yeah, it does. That's great.
Wow. All right. Well, Gina from Tyrone wants to know, for interior furnishing and miscellaneous items, what are some of the steps a client can do to choose what they would like for their home or business?
I will defer to the design lady here on that one. I mean, really, the one thing I give as an overview is start with what you like, not what somebody tells you should like, and do it with your personal
Good
judgment.
advice. Yeah.
You might want advice to help sort of pull that together, which is where you use a Dana for the interior design side. But for me, I'm like that in life. If I'm buying a car, I'm not going to buy what somebody tells me is good. I want it to be good, and I've got to like it. Because you might like something and I might not.
Sure.
You've got a Ford, I've got a Ram. I would never buy a Ford. But
Oh yeah. Oh,
just so, but that's the thing. It's the personal choice. You start with, when you go to buy a truck, you start with which brand do I want, and then what colour do
Yeah.
I want, and what do I want inside it, and it's personal choice. So that's where I come from. Then you can give the rest on that one.
well, from
I'm
a
gonna have
design
drink of that one.
perspective, practical tips, right? Practical
Sorry.
tips would be for furnishings. I would start with function. What is the room going to be used for first and foremost? Like choosing different types of furnishings, because the question is furnishings and then also miscellaneous. So it's amazing that rooms can pretty much get cluttered very quickly because you do
Oh,
have
yeah.
your favorite things, right? So a lot of times just starting with understanding the practicality of what's going to be the room's going to be used for is going to help determine whether that furniture is going to need to be heavy use furniture, or whether its secondary rooms could maybe be budgeted differently, so it's not going to get as much use. So you're going to be thinking about your fabrics differently and whether they can hold up. And then as far as miscellaneous items go, well, one thing I find that you could probably relate to is when you photograph something for real estate, you probably are decluttering,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I suggest to people to take a snapshot of the space and actually print it out. Don't look at it on their phone.
Okay.
Actually print it out, and then what happens is you're going to get a different objective look on the space than when you're in it every day. And you're going to find things that you may not have noticed before, that because you become attached to your favorite things, then it's easier for that person to be able to have more of an objective idea about how to work with the miscellaneous items, decluttering.
Okay.
And then thirdly,
That makes sense.
as far as decor goes, tending to put things together in groupings are helpful. When my hubby, when we first met, he's traveled a lot, and so internationally, and so we had a lot of things on the walls that were just like overwhelming to me. It was beautiful items, but they were just everywhere, so it didn't feel like I didn't know where to put my attention. So I find that when you think of real estate photos, when you see a home being sold for sale, they tend to declutter a lot, and that way there's more open space, so that picture really breathes. That picture really stands out, or that area really, attracts your attention because it's featured. Like for instance, that really cool piece right there. So I think miscellaneous items, are very, when you can see them and you can appreciate them more, then, then it helps make the room blend.
So
work.
the short answer as well from the male perspective is if you're the man of the house, get a man cave, then all of your stuff will declutter the rest of the house and it's all in your
I'll get
space
relegated.
where you can
I'll
keep
get-
it all forever.
We
And
have
be
a room,
comfortable.
I call the museum room in our basement where he has the pub. And I call it the museum room because all the things that were like splattered everywhere.
So buy a basement.
Just
saying.
so funny.
Or expand. She sheds. Also, there's something to be said about a she shed, right?
yes.
I
Yep.
have actually
Thank you,
hung
State
artwork
Farm.
and
Or
shelving
was it
things
State Farm?
in a she shed. she sheds exist. I
Oh,
have
wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, find your man cave, find your she shed.
Ah, gosh. All right. Fred from Sonoya says, as far as having blinds in a home, how do you determine which kind of blinds would be best suitable for the rooms somebody would want?
Again, it starts with functionality. What do you want them to do? Do you want, if it's a bedroom and you're working night shifts, you sleep during the day, you'll want some form of blackout so that it feels like nighttime. If it's just a glare you want to reduce when you're watching the TV or trying to read your book or whatever, you want light filtering. So it starts with functionality. Then you have to determine really what is going to be in keeping with the room. Do you want something ultra modern, ultra old style, classical, or some of the new sort of hybrids that sort of cross the bridge between the two? So it's really what do you want it to do, and then how do you want it to do it? Do you want it on string? Do you want a little light rise where you just
Options,
use your fingers?
options.
There are so many options.
Yeah, we love options.
Colour scheme goes with, are you going to match it to your walls or to your window frames? Or do
Right.
you want something completely abstract that's going to be totally different? So, it's,
So how often do you do a full install and then they decide, I don't really like it, I want something different?
that has happened.
Oh.
And at that point, you have to very gently, politely point out to them, you came to the showroom, you selected the styles that you wanted, we brought those 3 styles to your house, you looked at all of the styles, you looked at all of the colour palettes, you looked at all of the options for the fascia at the top, the string, the light rise, the power view, whatever it is, tough.
Oh.
However, may I
Politely,
say,
because by that point it's
Yeah.
become a partnership with the client, and you've given them, because with every, let's think, if you think of a, let's just say a honeycomb shade,
Okay.
which, and my colleagues all love this, they concertina up, they come up like this, and they've got a really low profile when they're up,
Okay.
and they could do the full length of the door behind you, and they would be about that when they're closed at the top of the door. Now, with that shade alone, you have got probably 100 and some colour options
Oh, wow.
just for the
That's
fabric.
a lot.
And then the fabric is going to be matched as closely to about 20 different colour palettes that you have for the hardware, which is the rail across the top. You then have the choices beyond that of, as I was saying, the light rise, the power view, and do you want the rechargeable batteries or do you want alkaline? There are so many steps you go through
Oh,
that if
gosh.
at the end of it you decide you don't like it, then
You have to tell me the secret because I'm always told to go back to Home Depot and get a different gallon of paint.
yeah.
the oops paint.
Oops,
But
paint,
may
yes.
I suggest there, this is one thing I've learned from just doing custom work, because a lot of what we do is selected, so it's custom made. You know, I find that sometimes when people first see something in their home, it's such a change that sometimes they have an immediate reaction to it because they're seeing it in their mind's eye, and then it comes in. I find that a lot of times, once people sit with it for a little bit, then they get over that shock value, and then they do love it. Like
Once in
it
a
just
blue
takes
moon
a
that
minute,
people
yeah.
don't like it.
And
It
so
really
the
is.
whole, and even they found that some people, they talk to them and suggest power view, and then meaning power options. No, that's okay. And then they come back and go,
Can we
really,
approve
really
them?
want that. Sometimes it can be converted,
Mhm.
and sometimes it cannot. So that's
Okay.
why we try to get people, or at least Martin, I know, and then when I have my design clients, like on my specialty projects, we try to get them to understand, like, that you know, this is something that you need to know now, because
Right.
we can sometimes change it out, but then sometimes, you know, it's not an option. But
All
people
right.
generally end up finding that what was recommended ends up being the best option. It
The
just takes-
recommendation is basically their choice
Got it.
Yeah.
at the end of the day.
All right, and Angie from Brooks says, I would love to know about how shades are moved throughout the day. Can you explain how they work? I want to know too.
I've got a prop for this.
Oh.
iPhone. So,
Oh,
if I open this up, okay, there are apps you can get on your phone. Now, we only do Hunter Douglas blind shirts and shades. Okay, there are other options out there, but if you look at it from the Saturn up to the Rolls Royce,
okay.
we're probably at the BMW, Mercedes, and sometimes the Rolls Royce of blinds. So
Got
there's
it. All
there's
right, that
lots
makes
of price
sense.
points, and so every brand has a place. We do Hunter Douglas for a reason. This is one of them. So I have an app on here, and I don't know how much of that you can see. That's my dashboard.
Okay.
So if I hit this button here, if I can get on it, there's the rooms in my house.
Oh.
Okay, so those are the rooms in my house.
So you can move it right now if you
I
want
can
to.
move, so if I hit
And
dining
if you're on
room,
vacation or
it
whatever.
shows me the individual shades, and if I select a shade, it'll show me exactly where it is at the moment.
Wow.
Okay?
Wow.
Now, with all of that technology, you can set that on timers either based on the internet clock, or you can do it on your own personal choice. So I could open this up. If Dana was having a lay-in tomorrow and I was feeling particularly obnoxious, I could just sort of
If you
open the
want to play with the
blinds
dog.
and play with the dog. If I start playing with this now, the dog's going to go
Having
crazy.
a lion?
A lie-in, sleep in.
Asleep
Oh, okay.
Asleep in.
I knew
It took
it.
me over
I
a
knew it.
minute.
I knew
to-
it.
Translation, sorry. It's
Okay.
English.
Yeah.
So
Which
with
would
this,
not happen on a Friday morning.
with this, you can program it to go up on an individual day, 7 days a week at the same time, different times. You can create scenes, so it's only going to go up halfway depending on where the sun is in the day, and you can program it to go halfway up the
Okay, that
window.
is so cool.
You can do up to 1,600 scenes on the app.
1,600.
Well, you name them
1600.
and you give them names.
And you give them names,
Mhm.
and you have to be very
Wow.
creative because you can then trigger those with. Do you have that female from Facebook here?
Is it-
Well, I don't want to say her name, otherwise things will
Alexa?
start happening. That one.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, do we do the Alexa? I think so.
So
Do
Alexa
we?
will also.
No,
You can
Okay,
say
so-
good morning.
Well,
You can
we've got
say-
small Alexa in the.
You can
I
also.
can say, Alexa, open sitting room halfway. And that'll go up halfway. And you can do it with Google Assistant as well.
And he's the programmer, so
and it
he's
gets,
got all that. He
you can
loves the
do up to
technical stuff.
1,600 scenes on that.
Wow.
You just got to get different names for it.
And it is user friendly. Like what's
It's
great,
totally
it's
easy.
really user friendly. But it's great that Martin again is into IT, and
Well,
he's
yeah.
kind of a jack of all trades.
It's a bit nerdy because not only is there the Hunter Douglas one, you can also put it onto your Apple Home.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So there's my home on my Apple Home there as well, so that I can control individual scenes or blinds and just play with it.
That is so neat.
And so that's how you do them when you're not there. So, and the thing with these is, if you get the correct technology, which everything has a price, goes back to that point, everything has a price. We now have a thing called a gateway, and they're
Okay.
all Bluetooth controlled, and they connect with the gateway through Bluetooth, and you could literally be sitting in Japan tomorrow having IT and think, oh darn, I left the shades open, get your phone out, hit that particular scene to close them, and they will close that very moment.
How about that? Cool. All right, well, it's just about time. Bill's going to turn the camera over here to the screen. While he's doing that, I'm going to tell y'all a fun fact. American actress Elsie DeWolf. She's credited for making interior decorating a profession. She was an actress known for The Love of Mary Ellen, Democracy, Soul of a Man, but she was previously married to Sir Charles Mendel. Anyway, apart from being a wonderful actress, she also supposedly was the first ever professional interior decorator and the author of her book, The House in Good Taste. All right? She might no longer be around, but her interior design style lives on. In time, DeWolf's interior design skills were considered refreshing yet simple. She is quoted in saying, "I'm going to make everything around me beautiful. That will be my life." So I thought that was so cool.
That's very cool.
And you did an amazing thing about it. You said she was an actress.
Mhm.
So was she. And now she's a designer, and so is she.
I did not know that.
There you go.
Yeah.
Small fact for you.
Once upon a time in New York.
I did not know that.
That's how I got into design
That's
in the first
another
place. So
episode.
there you go. That's cool.
Wow.
No, but I think it's great to know that she inspired, and that is really cool. I'm gonna look her up for
I
sure.
like it.
And I
like
bet
it.
she was a dame all the way, like well into her long years.
Yeah, Elsie goes, she lived from 1865 to 1950, and I know she was married to Sir Charles Mendel.
Oh yeah, so Charles Mendel.
Wow.
That's cool fact.
Yay!
Yeah.
All right, are we ready for the
Yep.
pictures,
we're
Bill?
ready.
Okay,
Oh,
and then
okay.
you guys can explain what we're looking at, and they'll be able to
Okay.
hear us.
This is the, you're in Fayette County, most people on your Facebook thing. This is the Bus Barn, the Line Creek Brewery in Fayetteville,
Yeah.
behind
Okay.
the new City Hall. They had an issue with, that faces west. So every night the sun set,
Mm-hmm.
and every day, for about, depending on the time of year, between 5 and 8 hours of sun were blaring through those windows. So the shades that we put in there are on beaded chains, metal beaded chains. You can roll them up and down. They are allowing 4% of light to come through. So you can still see through them, as you can see, and you can roll them up and down depending on the time of year, time of the day, but they cut out the glare of the light and they cut the temperature down by about 45%.
Oh,
Of
wow.
how hot it was getting in the bar. And we have two on the other side of the bar by the service hatch and they're there, and they were brilliant.
That is so cool.
So
So, when we go there next time, say, ha ha, we know
Yeah.
about that.
Yes.
So, question on with the automation, is the automation possible to work based on the intensity of the light coming through it and work accordingly?
Not yet. Not yet. They're working on that. And the other issue, the thing with the automation you can have with blinds that are going there, that was what, 96, 98 or 100 inches up and down. There's a lot of weight on that. So for ones like those, you would probably need hardwire, and we can do the hardwire. We can do that, but I am not an electrician. It's low voltage.
Got
And
it.
if you wanted something bigger than that, you'd need an electrician to come and do
Okay.
it. But simple wiring like that we can do.
Cool, cool, cool. All right, next picture. Okay.
Okay, this is part of our hanging of artwork, fine artwork.
Mm-hmm.
That picture you can see there, the colourful picture above the bar, this is Enzo's Italian Steakhouse in Trilith.
Okay.
Brand new build out, phenomenal place. That picture is 14 feet by 4 feet,
Wow.
and it is 23 feet up in the air.
Whoa.
And that is suspended on a particular style of mounting that they used, which is a track with 95-pound wires, tension wires coming down that you mount the picture on. So that was one of the first ones we put in there, and you can use that for large pictures like that. Or, if you go to the next one, you'll see smaller ones,
Okay.
Which aren't
So-
really all that small.
which aren't really that small. So you can see the wires, the tracks and the wires there coming down, and we've got multiple pictures on the same wires. So that was a long way up on a very bendy ladder. These are smaller prints that we also put in, and they go all the way around there. And that one's even higher up, as you can see. They're all on the suspension wires, and that's the kind of thing we love to do. That's Enzo's
Wow.
again, looking the other way. The bar is sort of,
We've got to go there, Bill.
And Martin is very proud when he uses his leveler. He's super, super proud. Maybe a little OCD in a good way. He'll say to me, "Look, honey," because we got invited to the friends and family opening, which was wonderful. We had a great evening at Enzo's.
Oh, awesome.
And so in the back areas where the kitchen is, and you can, it's very inclusive, if you will. And so anyway, you can see in the back, the black and whites, Martin and his
my colleague
team.
Kurt. I couldn't have done it without Kurt.
You
Wow.
can see he will make sure he goes. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't bring his leveler back just for fun.
Absolutely.
And he's obsessed with things being straight. But that brings up a whole other thing about the homes sometimes that we deal with
Yeah,
here.
we'll come to that this time. So if
Everything
you go to
isn't
the
always
next
plum.
one. Now this is a lot more simple. That was great English, wasn't it? This is a simpler application. You can see the blinds that are in the background there. Those are Hunter Douglas Nantuckets, and they are wonderful. They're sort of modern 2-inch blinds, except they're made of silk. So when the veins twist, they're open, you can see through a shear, and then they close inside the shear, and it's gorgeous.
It's a silk-like.
And you can see the pictures hanging either side. This is the, I would say simple, but 2 pieces versus Kurt and I hung 36 black and white photos
Wow.
and 20 pieces of art in Enzo's. So this is simple, Enzo's was not.
Got it,
Okay,
got it.
that's the same room.
Okay.
Pictures at the same height. Now, this is back at Enzo's. That is an enamel tiled wall.
Oh,
We hung those 5 24 by 12 inch or they're 36 by 18 inch. Anyway, they're big pictures, about so big. We had to hang them on there. We didn't want wires hanging down because you're actually in the kitchen. Didn't want to drill into the tile work because you'd shatter the tiles.
so
And
how's
those
it
are
on the
important for
wall?
lighting. That's the trade secret.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's why we're so fantastic.
wow.
So
But
those,
they ask him to come back.
Yeah.
Don't give away all the trades.
can't give you that one.
But you
yeah.
do learn a lot while you get out there, right?
And you have to make some of it up as you go along.
You
to be
do.
honest, because you don't know
Trial
what
and
you're going
error,
to come
okay.
up with.
Wow.
Or come up against. Now, this is somebody's gym in Tyrone.
Oh.
Those, everything, all the wood in there was hand cut, handmade. It's cherry wood. It's absolutely stunning, and it's a gym. Okay,
Wow.
believe it or not.
Yeah.
And the recess into the window frame was only an inch. And he wanted some blinds in there. Didn't want to spend a fortune, but equally didn't want to look cheap. Most people tell you aluminum. That was difficult. I call it aluminium. Aluminum blinds are going out of fashion. Those are matte black
And they had that
aluminum
sound.
1-inch blinds, and they look stunning.
Wow.
And they make such a difference in the room on the heat again, because blinds, I never realised that I moved to this country in 03, took the blinds out and thought, oh my god, my house is hot.
And then I made him put them in our
Made him put
garage,
them back
and
in,
he had
and
noticed the difference.
And those,
Yeah.
difference, and those made a huge difference in there. So those are 1-inch aluminums, they still have a roll and they're brilliant.
How about that?
And that's the back windows, you can see them, the black window frames with the black aluminums, and they were just great fun to do. I enjoyed doing that house.
That is
I
neat.
think that's it.
All right.
So look, okay, there you
Cool.
go.
Our Bill's gonna move the camera back over here while we're doing the closeout. And by the way, I have a joke, so I wanna see if you
Okay.
guys are able to get it. And then Bill, I wanna see if you can get it too. So, okay, I don't even know what a UX is. What do you call a lazy UX designer?
Lazy UX.
What is a UX?
I have no idea.
I guess just, what do you call
User interface, I would think.
Okay, well, or how about just, what do you call a lazy designer? Slack.
Ah, I know that. Okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
What do you call
I
it?
get I get
Slack.
Slack.
That was a lady's dad joke, wasn't it?
It was a what?
A dad joke for ladies, or a lady doing a dad joke.